Hey everybody, it's the Seal here. I'm with this thing.
Hi, it's Rexed Out, and we're going to be going over something in the next episode of Podcast for Your Thoughts. Yay!
We're still sticking with that really interesting sounding name. Anyways, this is part one of two parts of the third episode. If you haven't figured it out by the title, we are talking about the MCU. This part's gonna be we're gonna go over each movie, give a brief summary of the movie, give our own personal opinions, and then how it ties into the grand scheme of things and different things to look out for in the movie if you're rewatching it, how it ties into later movies. That's part one, and then in part two we'll be going over what we have confirmed about upcoming movies and our theories for upcoming movies. And yeah, basically everything that we don't have at this point and onward we'll be just going over in the second part of this episode.
For a more simplified explanation, part one is going to be everything that is currently out at the time of us releasing or recording this, and part two is going to be everything that is to come at the time of us recording this.
Yeah. So, let's get started. 2008. May... Can't remember the date, but it was sometime in May in 2008.
The MCU kicked off with a blast with Iron Man. So, of course, it all starts with our genius billionaire playboy philanthropist, Tony Stark. Runs Stark International, a weapons company, or Stark Industries, Stark International. It's gone by many names. Stark Industries, I guess, is officially the one for the MCU. He's an alcoholic. He's a playboy. He's just generally the kind of rich douche.
Yeah.
He's got a liaison with the military because he's their biggest weapons manufacturer, but who he considers kind of a friend. He's got his assistant, Pepper Potts, and then those are your main cast there.
Well, Phil Coulson does show up.
Well, yeah, and then there's also the big bad guy in the form of Obadiah Stane.
And then James Rhodes. I can't even remember who plays him in the first movie.
Yeah, I don't really either. But, on to the next part of this. He's in Afghanistan for a test of a brand new weapon system he designed using pulse repulsor technology. The Jericho missile. And on a convoy back to an airfield or somewhere, that convoy gets ambushed. He gets taken by the terrorist organization, the Ten Rings.
Which we're now slowly starting to see more of in the Shang-Chi trailers.
Mm-hmm. This is going to be very fun. But yeah, he gets taken by the Ten Rings and becomes their captive, forced to build weapons.
I just want to point this out now. We'll probably be, within how much content we know is coming out later this year, we'll probably be back a year from now and have all this new stuff to explore.
Mm-hmm.
Right, this is what you're getting for now. These two parts of episode 3.
Okay, so do you want to keep off from there? What happens in captivity?
He meets Dr. Do you remember his name?
No, not off the top of my head, no. I'd have to Google search it, but...
You can tell we're not professionals. We don't have these notes of certain things just laying around.
No, we're just going with what we remember.
We're winging it. But he meets a doctor, and... I'm a little blurry on the beginning of the original Iron Man.
Okay, well then, I guess I should take this part then.
All I know is that he gets in captivity for a while, makes the suit.
Well, when he got captured, he got shrapnel inside his heart. So this guy ended up putting a tube with a big electromagnet inside his chest.
Car battery.
It's an electromagnet attached to a car battery.
Yeah.
So, very rudimentary. It really didn't feel like he should have been alive, but... whatever. He gets put... He decides that... Oh, bleh. I'm tongue-tied right now. They tell him that... The people come in and tell him that they want him to build weapons for them. More specifically, the Jericho missile. And they show all of the tech they'd stolen or bought or whatever from Stark Industries. And they want him to rebuild the Jericho. But Tony decides, screw that. I'm gonna do something and get us both out of here. So he first builds a miniaturized arc reactor and inserts it in his chest to keep instead of the magnet so he can actually, well, survive. Then he takes all the pieces and builds himself a mechanical suit of armor and fights his way out. One of the best lines in that entire film is when he stomps out of the cave, gets blasted up, and then just...
My turn.
Yeah, that.
Not in that exact voice, because that's not how
My
Robert
turn.
Jr. speaks, but yeah, something like that.
Flamethrowers, the entire camp. Rhodey finds him. He goes back to the U.S., calls for a press conference, announces that he wants to stop making weapons. That causes political uproar and, well, some chaos. He gets confined to the mansion where he decides to work on the Mark II, an even better version of his armored suit. Sleeker, streamlined, capable of flight.
Still silver.
Looks
cool, though.
And, well, we need to remember this armor because that's going to play an important part later.
Mm-hmm.
He ends up taking it out for a test drive and tests it out, but when he flies too high, it gets too cold and ices up. That's what he learns of icing problem for flying when he flies too high. So he builds the next armor out of a gold titanium alloy, which, little scientific fact, that's actually super brittle and shouldn't actually be able to hold up to the conditions that the armor actually does. But whatever, that's important as a fact. This is a superhero movie. Scientific fact doesn't matter. Builds a new one. It's pure gold. And he paints a little hot rod red on it. And you got the iconic red and gold Iron Man armor. He goes and stops...
Cue AC/DC music.
Yeah. He finds out about the terrorists actually having a Jericho missile anyways, without him building it. Finds out that his boss, his mentor figure, Obadiah, has been double dealing to the terrorists under the desk. And he goes off, blasts out in the camp, saves a bunch of the hostages, and gets out of there. I think you remember this part. Do you want to take over now?
He's flying back and the jets come in.
Yeah.
The American fighters. And, yeah. Man, I do not remember a lot from the original Iron Man.
Then I'll continue then, I guess. From there, it was... He goes back, he survives, he tells Rhodey about the suit. Pepper catches him taking it off. Cue one of the most hilarious lines. Let's face it, this is not the worst thing you caught me doing.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, he takes off the armor. If he figures, and they tell him, and she tells Pepper, and then he has her help. She goes, gets a little bit of data off of Obadiah's computer about the terrorists, but then finds out that Obadiah was actually the one who told the terrorists to kill Tony Stark. But when they found out it was Tony Stark they were killing, then they kidnapped him and forced him to make weapons and allowed him to escape. Obadiah wants the company, but Tony's in his way. So he's double dealing, working out, and trying to get him out of the company. Obadiah had taken the pieces of the original Mark I armor from the terrorists, killing them, and then brings all of them to... brings them all to a lab in New York and builds his Ironmonger suit.
Ironmonger. Kind of sounds like a wrestling name.
It does, kind of.
Ironmonger.
Tony and him have a massive face-off, and Tony
remembers the ice freezing up at high altitudes.
But even that doesn't kill him. He basically blows up the arc reactor, and
yeah, he freezes in the air, falls back down, and then
blows up an arc reactor on him. Blue beam into space.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and it ended up with him telling the world he's Iron Man.
Mm-hmm.
Which is going to have an awesome callback so much later. I know.
Oh, yeah.
And then the end credit scene, which set up so much. He's become part of a bigger universe. He just didn't know it.
Nick Fury. And for all we know, that could have been Talos.
Yeah, as far as we know. Like, good
Anything
gosh,
after-
how long has Fury been off-world?
Any appearance of Nick Fury after the events of Captain Marvel could be Talos, and we just don't know.
Yeah, I'm very
Just
confused.
don't know it yet.
Shush. So... R2, The Incredible Hulk. Very forgettable.
Does it have any, like... Does it really tie into the story at all?
I don't... Well,
Well, kind of.
it's going to, considering that the main bad guy from it is going to reappear in the new She-Hulk show they're making. But, I mean, that's the
Yeah.
first connection it's really had.
Here's an interesting fact. The university from that, I can't remember the name, but the university from The Incredible Hulk, that is where Jane Foster teaches physics. That exact university. Because we have the Phase 1 collection, and in the thing about Hulk, and in the movie, there's all about that exact university, and then in the Thor folder in that Phase 1 collection, there's her teacher ID card, and it's that exact university. So yeah.
Okay. So, that moving... I don't know. I'm gonna give in... Oh, I guess before we got on to that, though, we should probably give in our opinions. We said we were gonna give our opinions
Oh
on it.
yeah.
While we were doing that, though, we did kind of explain callbacks and how it's going to tie in later. So, our opinions. I actually really liked Iron Man. It was so good. There were some awesome one-liners, and Robert Downey Jr. is Tony Stark. You want to give one then?
Yeah, basically that. It was a great movie. Probably, definitely either the best or the second best movie in all of the MCU.
We've already taken up like 10 minutes just talking about the first movie. This is
Yeah, we'll have to we might end up splitting this into at least 3 parts.
well, probably more than that.
Yeah.
Okay, Incredible Hulk was kind of forgettable and like barely any tie-ins to the story, so you want to just skip it. It's forgettable. Yeah. It's barely tied in.
It's the same university that Jane Foster teaches at.
And the big bad guy in it is going to appear in the new She-Hulk show. That's it. That's really it. Iron Man 2. Okay.
Ooh, boy.
Where do we start? Tony Stark goes in front of... Well, he kicks off the Stark Expo, and we find out he's dying. Already off to a great start.
Got a little crossword puzzle on his neck.
Yeah, high-tech crossword puzzle. Then comes the interesting part where he's at the Senate and just starts joking around, and we meet one of 2 big bad guys for the movie. Well, I wouldn't really call him a big bad guy. I'd call him more of an annoyance, but whatever. Justin Hammer.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Annoyance is right.
He's less of a big threat and more just an annoyance.
Yeah.
But he is, I guess he would be considered one of the bad guys in the movie. But the real big threat is, of course, Ivan Vanko, who makes his own miniaturized arc reactor, electro-powered whips, and tries to kill Tony Stark.
You know.
But then after that, there's Tony has something where, like, he thinks he's dying, so he keeps making reckless and dumb decisions because he thinks he doesn't have time left. And that ends up causing a rift between him and Pepper, who takes over, who he set in charge of the company, and is kind of just locking him out of bits and things. And a rift between him and Rhodey, who ends up stealing the Mark II suit and handing it over to the government, where it gets weaponized. Then we find out that because of that, they also have decent enough specs, and Vanko, using his prototypes and all that, builds drones for, well, Justin Hammer, who's set to distribute them at the Stark Expo. Tony, and while dying, gets visited by Nick Fury, who basically chews him out for being an idiot and tells him to get off his lazy butt and find the cure. And when Tony says that he's thought of everything, Fury tells him, "You haven't," and gives them a bunch of research from his father, where he discovers a new element, which I actually found out the name of. He named it, I kid you not, Badassium. That's actually the name of it.
Oh, that's hilarious.
He builds
That's Tony Stark.
Yeah, that's Tony Stark for you.
That's Robert Downey Jr.
So yeah, he builds a new arc reactor with the new elements. Gets himself a new suit, and shows up at the Stark Expo, which apparently is what Ivan Vanko, aka Whiplash, wanted all along. He activates the drones, and they all go and try to kill him. And it turns out because the War Machine suit had been reprogrammed, it was also chasing him.
With Rhodey inside.
Mm-hmm. We find out, one of the characters we got to mention that we introduced was Natasha Romanoff, who is the Black Widow, who
is now
kicks
dead.
butt. you had to do that. You had to do that.
Oh, that reminds me of something I saw on Reddit the other day. It was someone saying Black Widow drops in theaters this whenever, and then someone else.
She dropped off a cliff. I know.
She dropped in theaters 2 years ago, off the cliff on Vormir. Anyways,
bad. Okay.
Back to the drone chase scene.
Yeah, back to the whole thing. Rhodey gets the War Machine armor. He reboots with the help of Natasha and Jarvis. Tony reboots Rhodey's suit, gets him back online. The two of them destroy drones, and then eventually defeat Whiplash. And then Tony and Pepper get together. Rhodey keeps the suit, and that was
That was it.
That was it.
Yeah.
Okay. I kind of...
Did we forget to mention Happy Hogan this entire time?
Yeah, but I want to say he's kind of a...
Jon Favreau himself.
Yeah, I mean, he was the director.
He's directed a bunch of movies.
I mean, I think he directed the first two Iron Man movies. I think he put himself in as a character.
Yeah, he added himself into the MCU as a character, and he's now, like, actually a big character.
Yeah. Okay. Where to next? Well, personal opinion, I really did like Iron Man 2.
It was a good movie. There are some that I like more, but that was still a good movie.
Yeah. Okay, the next up was Thor. Do you remember thinking about it? Or do I need to describe it?
What does it start off with?
Him falling to Earth.
No, it doesn't.
Yes, it does. There's a short scene of him like actually hitting the Earth, and they find him, and then it cuts to the flashback of how he got there on Asgard.
Oh, yeah. So it starts off like that, and then it's in Asgard. It's him going down to be crowned king, right?
Yeah.
He goes down there, and then it's interrupted by the Frost Giants trying to steal
Casket of Ancient Winners.
the Casket of Ancient Winners. But then here comes, I can't even remember its name.
The Destroyer.
The Destroyer. I thought it was like the something Destroyer, but no, I guess just the Destroyer.
No, just the Destroyer.
Out he comes, just immediately kills both the Frost Giants. That postpones the crowning Thor as king ceremony. Then Thor, can't remember any of their names.
Just Lady Sif and the Warriors.
Lady Sif and the Warriors 3. That was what I remembered, the Warriors 3 part. And does Loki go with them, or does he meet them when they get back?
He goes with them.
They go and to
Niflheim.
Niflheim.
I think it was Niflheim.
There's a very
No, I don't think it's Niflheim.
no, it's Jotunheim. Jotunheim. They go to Jotunheim, fight the Frost Giants. They don't kill Laufey.
No, they don't kill Laufey.
But they murder a bunch of Frost Giants. Then along comes Odin,
who gets them out of there.
Who's very mad as well. And he's like, Thor, you shouldn't have done that.
Now you've opened up the realms to war.
And now, was the line from this one? A good king doesn't seek war, but he must always be ready for it. Was that from this movie?
I think it was, but I think it was from later. Or it might have been just something we heard on Ragnarok. I don't know. I don't remember where that line was from. I just know he's
All we know is that he does the thing to the hammer. Those who...
No, it was this movie. But it was a
only those
flashback
who are
earlier.
worthy may possess
Only
power.
those... Oh, if... Oh... So whoever holds this hammer, if he be worthy, shall possess the power of Thor.
Yeets Thor and the hammer to Earth. And yeah, that's where the beginning clip is from.
Yep, and then he shows up there, and then he wakes up, and he's human. And he finds Jane Foster in the small town, I don't remember the name, somewhere in New Mexico. Then it's a whole thing where they're researching Einstein. They were researching Einstein-Rosen bridges, and apparently that's what the Bifrost was.
And then along comes Phil Coulson and his SHIELD homies. And they're like, yo, your research is ours now.
And we're going to set up this base around the hammer, which apparently no one can move. And they start researching it. And then Thor tries to get his hammer back, but then he finds out he can't wield it because
he's basically a human now, and he's not considered worthy by Odin's standards. That's what it's by Odin's standards who's worthy.
It's more...
That's what it feels like.
Well, as much as he does that, he places on it, but he doesn't really specify that he's the one who needs to think they're worthy.
Yeah, whatever. But he's not currently worthy, basically. Thor's not worthy. So, then along comes Loki.
As Loki tries to lift it, he can't. But Loki tricks Thor into thinking that Odin's dead. His mother agrees. And with Thor, with Odin sleep and possibility of never waking up, the mother refusing to leave his bedside, and Thor banished to Earth.
Who else is there to lead Asgard but Loki?
His plan all along, apparently, because he gave the Frost Giants the way into Asgard, and he caused this whole thing, secretly manipulating his brother and his parents, and causing this whole downfall from the beginning.
It was Loki. Oh, no.
No. He sends the Destroyer to Earth to kill Thor. And Thor, after spending enough time on there, learns humility on Earth.
Humanity?
Humility.
Humility is like being humiliated.
No. Humility is basically being like not so acting so high and mighty, like being nothing like.
Isn't that selflessness?
No, like the process of being took down a peg. Learns humility. Thor ends up basically he goes to sacrifice himself and says,
because
end me and spare everyone.
Loki had sent the Destroyer to Earth. We forgot to mention that.
Yeah. No, I did. I just said he sent the Destroyer to kill Thor.
Yeah. And then Thor goes to sacrifice himself, but then there's like a flashback of Odin saying that, and then him shedding a single tear in his Odin sleep, and then here comes the hammer right out of the shield base.
And then Thor proceeds to wipe the floor with the Destroyer.
K.O.
It literally doesn't even get a solid hit. He just wipes the floor with it. And then he walks out all nice and casual, and they go back to Asgard after Loki tricked them. And
we forgot to mention before Odin wakes up from his sleep, Loki lets Laufey into Asgard to finish off Odin, but then he kills him just before he does, so he can look like a hero. Yeah.
This whole like double betrayal, kind of like he's trying to get himself more power. He's master of the silver tongue, basically. Then Thor comes back, faces off against Loki, who's trying to destroy all of Jotunheim, and stops him by destroying the Bifrost, locking Asgard away from Earth for a while.
Also, don't forget the fact of Loki dropping into the abyss.
Yep. Although, as we learned from an end credit scene, he's not dead.
Yes.
And we also learned from an end credit scene that an Asgardian relic is on Earth.
The Tesseract.
And oh boy, is that big.
Yep.
The Tesseract. Oh, okay. Next up, we learn more about the origin of the Tesseract from the next movie. Captain America: The First Avenger.
Let's go. Should we split this up into all 3 phases?
Maybe, yeah, that's probably a better idea.
Let's do that.
Go.
So this is part 1, phase 1,
All right,
and there'll be part 2, phase 2,
yeah,
part 3, phase
I think
3, and
we get it.
theories and what's to come.
First Avenger, let's go.
Captain America, the first Avenger, starts off with little Steve.
Well, actually, no, it starts off.
No, it starts with the Red Skull at that one place.
No, it starts even further back than that. It actually starts with a bunch of SHIELD agents coming from the government.
Oh yeah,
the massive plane in the ice.
To the plane in the ice, and then they unthaw it and see Captain America sitting there, and then it goes to back in the World War II era with.
That is what it's called.
Johann Schmidt at this one. I think it was in France or Poland. I don't know. It's someplace where the Tesseract is being stored. There's like this big coffin there, and he has some soldiers push it out because there's an old man that's supposed to be keeping it. But then he's like, that's fake Tesseract.
Finds the real Tesseract.
Shoots the old man, and that's where we get this cool scene where the blood goes on from shooting the guy, goes onto his Hydra pin.
And covering the skull of the Hydra pin in blood, turning it red, hinting at who he is.
The Red Skull.
Okay. Then we got to Skinny Steve trying to, join the army. Gets declined. Goes to go see a movie. Gets that. Gets his butt beat. And then
Bucky comes in and saves the day.
Yeah, James Buchanan Barnes.
Little does he know that his life will become a living nightmare.
Before getting a lot better.
Yeah.
Yay. Okay. Then the whole thing of them being like best friends, and then Bucky heads off to war, leaving Steve behind. Then Steve gets approached by Dr. Abraham Erskine, who is developing the super soldier serum, and says he can give him a chance. He goes to Camp Lehigh, which is actually becomes a recurring place. He goes to Camp Lehigh, where he gets trained, and then two of the best scenes in the show, and shows just the kind of person Steve is, happen that. The first one is the Flagpole Scene. You want to explain that?
It's basically supposed to be, there's a Jeep following them running this track, and the sergeant says, if anyone can get that flag, they can take a ride in the Jeep back to the main place instead of having to run.
Flag's the halfway point of the run.
Flag's halfway point in the run. All these other soldiers try to climb it, can't make it, so then they say they're going to get going, but then Steve unbolts the flagpole, it falls down, he grabs the flag, takes a ride back in the Jeep. And then there's the grenade scene, where just to do a test of everyone, one of the guys throws a grenade to the middle of the dummy grenade, it's not a real one, throws it into the center and yells grenade. All the other soldiers run and hide. Steve jumps on the grenade to cover the explosion.
To help protect everyone, showing that he's a person who will protect people to the end.
He has knowledge, and he's a kind person.
And
both
as Euron explains there, the best way to describe the super soldier serum, good becomes great, bad becomes worse. It enhances the whole thing of saying is he doesn't want someone who's physically strong, but mentally a bully, because the super soldier serum could make them turn out worse.
He wants someone who's mental. He doesn't care what they are physically.
Another good line. I want to quote another line. Not a perfect soldier, but a good man.
Yeah, because they can get a perfect soldier part with the super soldier serum.
Exactly.
I'm giving him abs and
but then,
biceps.
So he learns. So he becomes the subject for the super soldier serum, and they do the whole Manhattan Project thing, and he becomes Captain America.
And there's that one Hydra spy
who kills Erskine, tries to steal the formula, but the formula dies, and that's where Steve learns of Hydra. And then originally that's what they wanted, like an army of super soldiers, but all they got was Steve. So people were like, oh. He becomes a poster boy, basically. Gets dressed up in a tacky costume, parades around, all that. Becomes basically like a circus monkey.
Like as you see in the drawing.
As his little sketch. While at a camp with Peggy. I forgot to mention Peggy.
Peggy Carter.
Peggy Carter. Certified badass. Yeah, I'm saying that there's no other way to describe her, what she is. Really, there's no other way. Okay.
This is a kid-friendly YouTube channel.
Sorry, that's what she is.
This is a kid-friendly YouTube channel. Anyways. Basically, the next big important event is Steve is informed that a certain platoon was out and fighting
and was captured by Hydra, and it turns out that that platoon was the one that Bucky was part of.
And then he goes to ask... Actually, he goes to ask...
If...
The lieutenant? Is that who he was? Or was he...
I don't remember who he was.
He was a lieutenant or a general. He was above sergeant, I know that. And
it might have been a general.
He goes, asks him if he remembers the name Bucky Barnes. And he's like, I go through a lot of names, but yes, that does ring a bell. Because he was just signing them all off as dead.
So, or, well, at least captured and most likely never coming home. But Steve can't accept that. So Peggy and Howard Stark, Tony's dad, decide, you know what? We're going to help you.
They get him a plane over top of where they are currently.
And he parachutes it. One of the most hilarious lines in the entire show.
Jumps out.
What do you can't order me. He says, you're not higher powered than me. You can't order me around. He's like, the heck I can't. I'm a captain. And just dives out the plane. One of the best lines.
And also once he jumped, was he wearing a parachute?
No, that was the Winter Soldier.
No, but he wasn't wearing a parachute in this one. Oh no, I guess he was in this one. Dang it.
He was.
No, that was in the Winter Soldier where he wasn't.
Or the whole. Hey, what I have to say? We go get some fondue. He has no idea what that means. The poor, sweet, innocent boy. So he jumps out of the plane and he goes in and he rescues not just Bucky, but everyone from the Hydra encampment.
A select few of which become the Howling Commandos.
Heck yeah! Or one of the best lines ever when he knocks the guy, just, who are you supposed to be? I'm Captain America. or he says, you sure you can handle this? Yeah, I've knocked out Adolf Hitler over 200 times.
Oh, there's some really great lines.
There's some really good lines in that movie. Oh, okay. Where to now? He comes back. He sets up his whole. He actually survives. Brings everyone back. Not just like everyone who is captured there. Well, mostly everyone, but weapons powered by the Tesseract that Red Skull was developing. So now they know.
They should have him in the field.
Yeah, and they also now know what they're dealing with and can work against it. So they decide to get him out in the field. They start to put him together a task force. They want to put him together an elite task force. These were the best men. And he decides, yeah, no, I got a better idea. And then starts talking to the guys that they just got out, that he just helped rescue, and all of them like, yeah, what the heck, I'm in.
The Howling Commandos.
Yeah. The ultimate squad with Bucky as his right-hand man.
Bucky, Dum-Dum Dugan, and those are the only names I can remember.
Yeah, those are the two main ones.
Anyways, so he's fighting with them. I think the next big event is the train.
I think so.
The train.
No, there is one small part. Talks with Howard Stark, and he gets his iconic vibranium shield.
The circular shield, because he was just using that prop shaped one.
Yeah. But this one's a full-blown, awesome circular shield. And he gets his new suit, and he goes on a warpath. And then the whole train thing happens, and then Bucky falls to his quote-unquote death.
Gotta add those quotes in there.
Gotta add the quotes, because he didn't really die, as we all know. But, yeah, that was the whole
thing. Bucky, he thinks Bucky's dead, very sad.
So then he says, it's time to end Hydra once and for all. And he goes on this awesome mission where he just barges straight in, gets captured, and of course we hear a repeat of one of his most iconic lines is, what makes you so special? He goes, what makes you so special? And this is the reason why he was chosen to be the super soldier in the first place. Nothing. I'm just a kid from Brooklyn. And then his old beats him up, and then his iconic line. You want to say it?
I could do this all day.
Yeah!
Actually, that's not the first time he said it in this movie.
No, but it's become his iconic line.
I could do this all day.
Which I really thought Sam was going to say in the new show, but whatever.
He didn't. He said no. Aw.
Still defiant, but not quite the same energy. It would have worked so well. I'm so sad about that. Whatever.
Anyway, so they raid the main Hydra base. Steve tries to catch up to the plane that Red Skull is currently piloting with the missiles that are going for New York. He gets a ride from the lieutenant and Peggy Carter in that sick car.
Yeah. He gets aboard the plane, fights off a bunch of Hydra goons, accidentally damages the plane, then fights Johann Schmidt. Johann Schmidt gets hit by the Tesseract and gets launched off into space. He realizes there's no safe place to land the plane. He's going to have to put it down. He crashes it in the ice caps. And that's it. And then he's dead. Quote unquote, dead.
Flashback. Or flash forward back to the future.
Thing.
The present.
Oh, yeah. And then we go back to he wakes up. He thinks they try to make it sound like a hospital, but they made one fatal mistake and accidentally played a baseball game that he had been to see. Dumb move. But, so he breaks out, and then he finds himself in modern New York City. Fury comes up and explains to him that he's been asleep for 70 years. Frozen in cryostasis. And then this whole had a date. And then the credits roll. And then the best end credits scene ever. Leading up to the ultimate crossover event. Yeah! The Avengers!
I can't even remember that end credit scene.
It was mostly just a scene that happened in Avengers.
What's that?
Yeah, it was. It was the whole in the gym.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Quick opinions on the movie. I really love the first Avenger. I'm gonna be really honest with you. As much as I did love Captain America: The Winter Soldier, first Avenger was my favorite Captain
First
America
Avenger
movie.
is definitely in my top 3 favorite MCU movies. Definitely.
It's my favorite Captain America movie.
My favorite Captain America movie, my top 3 MCU movies. Definitely. That was a great movie.
It was such a good movie.
Yes.
Now on to the ultimate one, the one to wrap off Phase 1.
The Avengers.
Starts off... Where did it start? Okay, it starts off in that one SHIELD facility with Fury arriving by helicopter with Maria Hill and Coulson already on scene. And we find out that their experimentation on the Tesseract, something's gone wrong. The Tesseract is, quote-unquote, misbehaving. It's causing some interference, giving off energy, and it's trying to create a dimensional portal.
As Clint Barton, a.k.a. Hawkeye, puts it, who also appeared in Thor. We forgot to mention that.
Yeah, but he was
Thor.
just cameo, basically. But
Clint Barton, Hawkeye, as he puts it, well, it's a door to the other end of space. Doors open from both sides.
And through that doorway comes Loki.
The main bad guy of Avengers. He gets to be a bad guy twice.
Yeah.
In 2 movies, he gets to be the villain.
And then he gets to be a side hero in 3. I think.
Kind of. I don't know where you're going at there, but kind of.
Yeah, kind of. Whatever. Go.
So that happens, and then he takes over Dr. Selvig and Clint with his staff.
Which we find out is an Infinity Stone.
The Mind Stone. Ooh. Yeah, but as far as we know, we don't know that yet. We just don't know it yet.
Okay, yeah, we're gonna keep that. Okay, there's so many good quotes from all of the early MCU movies, but after they escape, they say, "Call them in." They call in
the Avengers Initiative.
One of the best scenes in that entire movie was Natasha Romanoff's thing where she's like, she looks like she's caught and she's like playing helpless or whatever. And it goes, give me the, then she goes, I don't know who you're, and then just gives exactly where she is. And there's fighter jets not far out. And we can blow that entire building to Kingdom Come before you even make it to the lobby. And then he goes, they give her the phone. He goes, "Are you kidding me? I'm working. This guy was giving me everything." She seems so unfazed by it. And then just, "We need you to come in."
Like, "Excuse me, what?"
He says, "We need you to come in. Barton's been compromised." And he goes, "Okay, hold on a sec." Tells him to get the phone and then proceeds to beat the crap out of them while being tied to a chair.
Nice. And then she mentioned something about going after Stark, and then he's like, and then Phil Coulson's like, "I got Stark. You need to go after the big guy. You handle the big guy."
Yeah.
Hulk. Now
So
played by Mark Ruffalo.
Yeah. And then they go and she finds Hulk, and then Tony goes Coulson goes to find Tony, and this whole thing with at the top of the new Stark Tower, which becomes Avengers Tower. But before it's being powered by energy, and there's the whole
He fixes a cable in the river, the Hudson.
Yep.
And then goes flying
like,
in back
to quote
to
him,
the tower.
Like Christmas, but with a little more me.
And then it lights up. The Stark Tower lights up. And then he shows up, and then he said, "Phil Coulson's here." And it's like, no, his first name is Agent.
Yeah,
that was funny.
That was hilarious. I'm trying to think of some really good one. And the running joke throughout all of the MCU starts here. 12%.
12%.
The 12% running joke. Oh, I love that. Okay. Then, now they got that. Steve's brought in by Fury. So now we've got most of the Avengers there. We've got Hulk, Captain America, Iron Man has been formed, but not quite there yet. Barton's been compromised, so that's like 2 of the 6 that aren't there. But now we've got Cap, Hulk, and Black Widow.
Yeah.
So the 3 of them are on site. They're trying to find Loki and the Tesseract. They don't quite track down the Tesseract instantly, but they do get a lead on Loki in Stuttgart, Germany. So they go and they find him in Stuttgart, and Captain America fights him, and Tony Stark shows up with his whole, "Hey, Agent Romanoff, you miss me?" Well, no, it was Shoot to Thrill.
Oh yeah, Shoot to Thrill was clear there. Still can't sing it, or else we'll get copyrighted. Yay!
Or one of the other fun lines in the movie: "Make a move, Reindeer Games." Where he's like aiming like hundreds of weapons at him. Okay. Next, and they try to bring him to. They're trying to bring him back, and then Thor shows up and takes Loki, and then they have this fight, and then Steve shows in and just, "Want me to put the hammer down?" Boom. Shush.
Yeah, that's when they learn of. They accidentally learn their best combo move: Thor hitting his hammer against the shield.
Oh yeah. And that combo move gets repeated in both Age of Ultron and Endgame. Well, Steve solos it in Endgame because he's wielding Mjolnir, but still.
Yeah!
Then comes the next part. Which... Oh yeah, Loki on board the helicarrier. His scepter with the mind power starts messing with everyone's head, turning them against each other.
Hulk gets angry.
Goes on a rampage and then gets flung off the helicarrier. Natasha gets Clint back, and the Avengers are split apart. But they come.
Loki tricked Thor into getting into the cage that he was in,
and then killed Coulson.
It.
And then, again, quote unquote, killed Coulson. He's technically alive, in the whole Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. isn't canon. It's been confirmed by Kevin Feige. So Coulson's dead.
Oh, okay.
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is not canon. It's not MCU, at least.
No, okay,
so
fair.
Coulson's dead.
Okay, so...
Remember, he was holding the gun, "Let's see what this thing does," and then he's unconscious, and then Loki's saying something, and then gets hit by the gun, and then Coulson's like, "So that's what it does."
Yeah. Based off the Destroyer, too, so...
Yeah.
So then they do their whole...
A whole thing. There's like this motivational speech thing.
Well, the cards were in Coulson's locker. Not really well. That was later, but they need the push. And then they all head off to find... And then Tony figures the whole thing out. He made it personal. He hit us where we live to tear us all apart because he knows he needs to beat them to win. And so Loki's a full-tail diva. He wants parades. He wants parades. He wants a monument built in the sky with his name plastered.
Son of a...
Yeah. And turns out he's at Stark Tower, so they all race off to New York City. But they're too late. The Tesseract has opened the iconic and also so overly used blue beam to space with a massive portal and Chitauri coming out like crazy. Then the fight for New York begins. Not a lot to say other than just them fighting. And then, that iconic scene when Bruce finally shows up. Just, that's my secret, Cap. I'm always angry. And then, boom! And
punches the big serpent thing.
And then they all do the whole, like, spins in a circle, watching them all gear up, ready for the fight. Oh, but we forgot, before the fight actually fully started, we forgot the one line, the conversation Tony had with Loki. His whole iconic face is just this. I'm actually just says, "Are you coming to appeal to my humility? Actually, I'm planning on threatening you. You should have left your armor on for that." Well, yeah, but I've seen some mileage, and you got the glow stick of destiny.
Glow stick of destiny.
And then he does his whole speech, just head count with all of them, and says, "I'm gonna say a few things here. His best line, because if we can't protect the Earth, you can be damn well sure we'll avenge it."
Also,
and that predicted it.
Army. We have a Hulk.
Yeah, but that line, if we can't protect the Earth, you can be damn well sure we'll avenge it. That line predicted the end of an era, because they couldn't protect the Earth in Infinity War, so they avenged it in Endgame.
Yes, sir.
It was so this entire franchise is just wow.
That's great.
But
anyways.
But yeah, war thing, one of the funniest lines ever, puny god. Then they have the whole nuke coming in. Oh, and then the iconic line from Samuel Jackson's Nick Fury. "I recognize that the council has made a decision, but given that it's a stupid decision, I've elected to ignore it."
But then they launch the nuke. Tony's like, "No, don't close the portal. There's a nuke coming straight for New York."
And he sends it straight into space.
Puts it into the portal.
Yeets it into the portal.
Hits the Chitauri mothership. All the Chitauri are now dead. He falls back through the portal just barely as Natasha closes it. Falls down. Hulk catches him. Takes off his mask. Something about nobody kissing him.
Yeah, please tell me nobody kissed me.
And then you guys want to get shawarma?
Yes!
Not yet. We have one last thing to do. If it's all the same to you, I'll take that drink now.
Yeah.
And yeah. Then it's them, the council talking to Nick Fury about the Avengers as they're slowly separating. And then the shawarma end credit scene.
Well, actually, no. I actually found something hilarious about the shawarma end credit scene, though. Apparently, because usually when the movie's made, they have like a special premiere for like people who worked on the movie and like did other stuff, and like basically before it actually goes fully public, like a few days before, they have they do a premiere for like a special audience and all that. And apparently, like during that or whatever, it didn't actually have that end credit scene. And then in that time, whatever, people like heard the shawarma joke and that thing and thought it was hilarious. So they brought everyone back together. They got all their props back and all their costumes. They put everyone back in it. Went to an actual shawarma place in New York, and put in like some fake glass, whatever, and like dirtied it up a bit. And then actually just shot that scene of them just casually eating shawarma, and then edited in the final bit of the movie in the few days in between the premiere and the worldwide release in theaters.
Yep.
which is hilarious. But if you case you already tell, I think you can all kind of have our opinion on Avengers. That was so good.
That was amazing.
I think as much as Iron Man kicked off the MCU, this is where it really just blew up.
Yep.
And this is what gave it, like, the scope. Because it was like, oh, yes, we have all these movies, and yes, there's little hints and references in between them all. Like Coulson appeared in Iron Man 1 and Iron Man 2, and then we saw him in Thor, and then we saw, like, the Tesseract that was mentioned at the end of Thor appear in all that, and then Fury appearing in between them. But, like, that was just it. But all these seemed like really different movies. And then what really gave us the full scale was seeing all of these characters that we've seen have their own adventures, their own fights, all of them together on screen, facing off against a common enemy. And
that was
what really gave it the
big.
Scale.
For 2012, that was big.
Yeah, because that had never been done before. Having, like, an entire interconnected universe of movies, that had never been done.
It's been almost an hour, and we've only covered just phase 1 of the MCU.
So we're definitely going to have to split this up into their own phases.
This will be quite a long... This will be quite a bit of stuff to do. Yeah, but anyways, that's what we've got so far.
That's phase 1 of the MCU.
Thank you all for tuning in. Who knows when this will be uploaded. We're recording it on April 29th, 2021. It'll probably be uploaded August 19th, 2021.
Haha.
Yeah, the last one we uploaded, the one about our creation verse, we recorded that in November, and he didn't get it uploaded until April 29th, 2021. So, yeah, this will probably be uploaded soon, hopefully.
Yeah.
Next one we'll be talking about phase 2. Mm-hmm. So yeah, thanks to you all for tuning in. See ya.